Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Trump wins Iowa caucus, cementing his firm status as the front runner for the Republican presidential nomination. Defense Minister says only military pressure will secure release of hostages as Hamas airs video purporting to show 2 Israeli hostages killed in captivity. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin over phone, discusses global issues, assures India's support for Russia's presidency of BRICS. Historic day for both India and Argentina as they sign agreement for lithium exploration and mining project. India acquires 5 lithium blocks in Argentina. India Open 2024 badminton tournament starts today in New Delhi. Several top shuttlers, including India's HS Pranoy, Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty in action. Let's get to the big news coming in from the U.S. Former President Donald Trump has won Iowa's lead-off presidential caucuses. The former president's victory gives him a strong start in the race for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are aiming for a second-place finish in Iowa. The 2024 U.S. presidential nomination race kicked off on Monday night with Iowa holding the Republican caucus in extreme cold weather. For the first time since he lost his 2020 re-election bid, the former U.S. president, who is being prosecuted in 4 criminal cases, will face voters. All right, William Denslow is joining us from the U.S. to spell out more details. William, former President Donald Trump marks his first victory when we talk of Iowa's lead-off presidential caucus. Help us understand how big is it for Donald Trump? And also, how does it lead to the presidential race? What do we understand from this?
Well, the weather here in Iowa is absolutely freezing. If you take into account the wind chill, it's down currently at around minus 30 degrees Celsius. But support for Donald Trump remains red hot amongst Republican voters here in the Hawkeye state. Less than 5% of caucus votes have been tallied, but already major US media outlets are projecting the former president as the winner here in Iowa. So the real question still to be decided is who comes second, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley or Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. When it comes to the significance of Iowa, it only accounts for around a couple of percent of the total delegates needed to become the Republican Party's nominee to be president. But it's all about this keyword, momentum. It is a long campaign with the candidates crisscrossing the nation to decide who will ultimately be the party's candidate. But this is a very strong first step from Donald Trump.
All right, William, also for the benefit of our viewers, help us understand more on the U.S. election process. Help us understand what a caucus is and why Iowa first.
Well, essentially why Iowa is really down to a bit of a quirk in US politics dating back to the late 1960s, where Iowa was essentially became the first in the nation to decide who will be the party's nominee in the presidential elections later in the year. And historical precedent has remained to this day, at least for the Republican Party. The Democrats are slightly changing things, instead doing mail-in ballots that will only be revealed on Super Tuesday, so a little bit further down the line. But for Republicans, it remains the first in the nation. It's something Iowans are very proud of indeed. When it comes to the difference between a primary and a caucus, well, there are a couple of different points. When it comes to a caucus, well, that's run by the state party rather than the state itself. And it's more of a town hall, more of a relaxed feeling. So it's not people going behind curtains, pulling a lever for their candidate. Instead, it's more of an open forum. The candidates and their surrogates get the opportunity to speak to voters just minutes before they make their decision. So far more of a relaxed town hall type of feel than a primary.
All right, William, now in contrast to the primaries, caucuses are managed by the political parties and not the government. Now that US President Donald Trump, or for that matter, former US President Donald Trump winning the Iowa caucus, now we see that Iowa is a hot seat in the sense that it is indeed traditionally important for those who've been fighting for months to unseat President Joe Biden. Help us understand, how do we see this election process from here on?
Well, absolutely. Iowa is a very unique casing point, considering the fact, if you look at its demographics, it is the first state in the nation to choose who they want from the Republican side to be president. But breaking down the demographics, in a state with a population of just over 3 million people, 90% of the population is white. So many people look at Iowa and think, well, perhaps it's not particularly reflective of the United States as a whole. But of course, going first does bring with it a huge amount of momentum, considering the amount of money that is involved in US politics. That means that a strong performance in Iowa can help a candidate continue seeing those campaign dollars flow in as the candidates move from state to state. Of course, a strong performance in Iowa would likely mean plenty of campaign funding ahead of the primary in New Hampshire next week. That is why it's absolutely crucial for Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis to have a strong night, to say to their supporters, to say to their donors that they are the realistic rivals to Donald Trump.
All right. Also, William, how do you understand, because we've seen Trump hasn't been seen spending much time, in campaigning in Iowa. What worked in his favor?
Well, perhaps this just shows the strength of the former president, that brand recognition, of course, that he has. And he's really been running this campaign almost like an incumbent. He's been avoiding the debates from the other Republican hopefuls, really sending a message that he is the rightful heir apparent to be the next Republican presidential nominee, and letting the other candidates really battle it out in the sandbox. So what we're seeing from voters in Iowa is they're very much adhering to that confidence that Donald Trump has been portraying. For Ron DeSantis, this is an incredibly significant state for him to perform well in. Unlike some other candidates, he has been to each of the 99 counties in the state of Iowa. He's attended more campaign events than Nikki Haley and Donald Trump combined. So he's put plenty of eggs in the Iowa basket. So for many analysts, a disappointing night here in Iowa could be a huge setback for his campaign.
All right, William, we'll leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those details. So that was our correspondent, William Denslow, helping us understand better what does this win mean for Republican presidential candidate, in fact, vying for the presidentship, Donald Trump. Also, President Joe Biden marked Martin Luther King Jr. Day with trips to Pennsylvania and South Carolina, the two states considered key for the president's re-election campaign in 2024. Biden kicked off the events honoring Dr. King's legacy with a stop in Philadelphia, notching the president's third trip to battleground Pennsylvania. Biden joined Volunteers, a hunger relief organization that distributes food to 9 countries throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Biden's trip comes as the 2024 election season hits full swing, with Vice President Kamala Harris heading to early voting in South Carolina. All right, from here we now get you the latest on Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel has asserted that only military pressure on Hamas will force them to release the hostages. Comments from Defense Minister Yoav Gallant came after Hamas released a new video that purportedly showed the dead bodies of 2 Israeli hostages killed in captivity. While Israel's defense minister was asked about the fate of hostages held by Hamas, he said that Hamas is carrying out a psychological abuse.
The release of hostages will only happen as a result of military pressure. If we stop the military pressure, we will seal the fate to stay in Gaza, because Hamas will not be motivated to discuss or talk to us. They only talk to us when they want something. The something now is ceasefire. The moment we give them ceasefire without a price, they won't talk to us.
Also in the same video, a third Israeli hostage can be seen reading a script in front of a blank white wall, saying that the two were killed by our own IDF strikes, referring to the Israeli military, but Israel has refuted the claims.
Itai was not shot by our forces. That is a Hamas lie. The building in which they were held was not a target, and it was not attacked by our forces. We didn't know exactly their locations. We don't attack a place if we know there may be hostages inside. We know that we targeted locations that are close to where they were held captive.
Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant also said on Monday that the Israeli troops have been withdrawn from a division stationed at southern Gaza. Earlier, as per the Israeli army, they have dismantled Hamas's military structures in the north and is looking forward to achieve the same goal in south by pressing on their ground operations in the southern cities of Khan Yunis and Rafah in recent weeks.
We have completed the implementation stages and we have moved on to the intensive stage that lasted for 3 months. This stage in the north of Gaza Strip has ended. In the south of the Strip, we will continue and it will end soon. In both areas, we will reach a moment that we will move to the next stages.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that he aimed to de-escalate the tensions in the Middle East after the US and Britain launched airstrikes on Yemen last week. Sunak said that he wanted to restore stability in the region and stressed that the airstrikes were proportionate, targeted action on military targets. Asked about the latest opinion poll forecast, Sunak said that the only poll that mattered was the national election, which must be held by January 2025, but which he suggested will take place later this year. South Korea, the United States and Japan, in a call on Monday, condemned North Korea's launch of a solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile a day earlier. According to the State Department release, the three sides underscored that such actions are dangerous, irresponsible, and destabilizing to the regional and international security. It added that the missile launch violated multiple UN Security Council resolutions. Pyongyang fired the solid-fuel intermediate-range ballistic missile on Sunday. Meanwhile, in another controversy, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has criticized North Korea's move to define the South as a hostile country. He said the move showed Pyongyang's anti-national and ahistorical nature. Yoon vowed that provocations will be met with its own response on a multiplied scale. Earlier, Kim Jong-un called for a constitutional amendment to change the status of South Korea to a separate state. In a speech to the Supreme People's Assembly, North Korea's rubber-stamp parliament, Kim warned that while his country doesn't seek war, it did not intend to avoid it. According to state media, 3 organizations dealing with unification and inter-Korean tourism will shut down. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour, vowing to crack down on corruption and lifting millions of poor indigenous Guatemalans, Bernardo Aravelo sworn in as Guatemala's new president. Iceland volcano recedes after Black Day of town fires. It's not just lavish attires and glamour at the 75th Emmy Awards, but lots more. Stay with us for a quick sneak peek of the Emmy Awards.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour and I'm Preeti. In more updates, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin held a telephonic conversation on Monday. The two leaders reviewed progress on a number of issues of bilateral cooperation in the follow-up to recent high-level exchanges between the two countries. They positively assessed the developments in bilateral relations and agreed to develop a roadmap for future initiatives to further strengthen the India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership. They also exchanged views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. Prime Minister conveyed his best wishes for Russia's presidency of BRICS in 2024 and assured of India's full support. The two leaders also agreed to remain in touch. Let's get to updates on the Russia-Ukraine summit now. Switzerland has agreed to host a global peace summit on Ukraine at the request of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. The Swiss government said that Switzerland will host a summit on the peace formula at the request of President Zelensky, with planning that starting on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Zelensky said that we are open to all countries that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity at the peace summit. He also insisted at the presence of the Global South. Zelensky arrived in Switzerland to participate in the World Economic Forum in Davos on Monday.
As for the list of countries, we are open to all countries of the world that respect our sovereignty and territorial integrity. So you can make your own conclusion about who we invite. We would like the Global South countries definitely to be present.
Speaking on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum, Belarusian opposition leader Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya said that Belarus is waiting for Ukraine to engage in official political meetings.
So actually we met with President Zelensky unofficially. It was a bilateral meeting, and I see that official Kyiv is rather cautious about officially communicating the democratic process of Belarus. It's understandable on the one hand, but we are waiting until they will be ready to meet with us.
Ukraine's military said that its air force destroyed a Russian plane on a command post in an operation on Monday. It added that Ukraine knocked down a Russian Berev A-50 surveillance plane and an Ilyushin Tu-22 airborne command post in the Sea of Azov area. The aircraft tracking map suggested the planes were stuck over the Sea of Azov, which lies to the east of occupied Crimean Peninsula. Kyiv did not disclose how the aircraft was struck. Hours after Ukrainian Army Chief Valery Zeluzny's statement, a Russian military blog posted an image of the shrapnel-riddled tail section of the Tu-22 standing on tarmac and lauded the crew as real heroes. Guatemala's armed forces recognized President Bernardo Arevalo as their commander-in-chief during a ceremony on Monday. Leftist Bernardo Arevalo was sworn in as Guatemala's new president after the ceremony was delayed for hours by hostile lawmakers. Guatemala's new liberal president, Arevalo, faces huge obstacles to anti-graft drive. During the military ceremony, Guatemalan Defense Minister Henry Saenz asked the international community and Guatemalans to trust that the armed forces would respect democracy and peace agreements. Arevalo, an academic and former diplomat powered to victory in August, vowed to lift up millions of poor indigenous Guatemalans, crack down on corruption, and protect a democracy that has been under attack. Political tension was running high in the Comoros on Monday, with violent incidents reported one day after the presidential vote. Comoros kicked off its first round of the presidential election on Sunday to select the national leader from among 6 candidates, including incumbent President Azali Assoumani, for the next 5 years. Supporters of the 5 opposition candidates have accused electoral authorities of delaying voting in their electoral strongholds. The result of the first round is expected sometime this week. Provisional results may be announced on Monday by the country's electoral commission. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the votes, the two candidates with the highest number of votes will proceed to a runoff round on February 25th. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Monday that he expected presidential and opposition support the new government's judicial reform, separating the function of Justice Minister and General Prosecutor. Speaking to reporters after meeting with President Andrzej Duda, Tusk said that he had offered the Justice Minister his full support in making the prosecutor's office independent. Duda condemned the dismissal of the state prosecutor on Monday, escalating a conflict between the head of the state and the new government.
I would like it very much for the President and the opposition to work together with us on the bill that will make the Polish prosecutor's office independent from the politicians. Maybe it will sound a bit brutal, but it is in the opposition's interest, and it is in the President's interest to make Poland's prosecutor's office and Polish judicial system independent from the government and politicians.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was released from the hospital on Monday, 2 weeks after he was admitted for complications following prostate cancer surgery. Austin, who had been hospitalized since 1st January, will perform his duties remotely before returning full-time to the Pentagon. On January 14th, White House National Security spokesman John Kirby told media that Austin's doctors think he may need additional care. Austin said in a statement that he was grateful for the care he received and thanked the medical personnel who tended to him and all who sent their well wishes. A volcano that erupted in southwest Iceland twice in less than a month spewed lava for a second night on Monday, although volcanic activity had eased since eruption. Molten lava flows reached the outskirts of Grindavik around noon on Sunday. The town had been evacuated and there was no immediate danger to people. The crack in the Earth's surface that opened close to Grindavik on Sunday was no longer active on Monday, and the lava production from the larger fissure north of the town was decreasing. Meteorological Office said that new cracks might appear within Grindavik in the next few days. It was the second eruption on the peninsula of Reykjanes in 4 weeks and the fifth since 2021. In Colorado, plow machines have been deployed after heavy snow filled in the streets of the U.S. state. Recently, most of the United States is gripped by an Arctic blast on Monday in northern states and Texas, and potentially dampening the turnout in Iowa. The dangerously frigid weather was witnessed throughout the day, hitting the Midwest hardest and freezing rain across the southern and mid-Atlantic states. Heavy rains buffeted Brazilian city and killed at least 12 people. The rain flooded streets, the capital city's metro line, and people's homes, bringing down trees and causing landslides. Rio's mayor, Eduardo Paes, announced a state of emergency while President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's government offered federal support. All right, a quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. The World Health Organization appealed for a $1.5 billion funding to respond to the health needs of millions of people caught up in dozens of humanitarian crises around the globe. The WHO CEO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said an estimated 166 million people would require health assistance around the world this year. Farmers and their tractors rumbled towards Berlin from every corner of Germany on Sunday ahead of a giant protest demanding a rethink of plans to tax the farmers more. The protests are expected to draw 3,000 tractors, 2,000 trucks and 10,000 people from around the country, and will cap a week of nationwide unrest that has put further strain on Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition as it grapples with a budget mess and rising far-right forces. The stars are all out and are shining even brighter at the 75th Emmy Awards taking place in Los Angeles. This year's Emmy will be boasting a recreation of the iconic conveyor belt chocolate scene from the 1952 sitcom serial I Love Lucy. The show is bringing out stars as Joy Sunday, Ken Jeong and Padma Lakshmi.
You're perfect. And that smile with the front leg. Beautiful. Right to your left, please. Love it. Over that shoulder, Rachel. Oh, hey. And that smile. That smile right here, please. We got another one, guys.
Let's get to more news now. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is on a visit to Iran, raised concern during his meetings regarding the increasing number of attacks on merchant ships in the Red Sea zone by Tehran-backed Yemen Houthis, terming the attacks on ships in the vicinity of India as a matter of grave concern to the international community. The minister said that such threats have a direct bearing on India's energy and economic interest, as he underlined that this fraught situation is not to the benefit of any party.
As you are all aware, there have also been recently a perceptible increase in threats to the safety of maritime commercial traffic in this important part of the Indian Ocean. The Minister also referred to it. We have even seen some attacks in the vicinity of India. This is a matter of grave concern to the international community. Obviously, it also has a direct bearing on India's energy and economic interests. This broad situation is not to the benefit of any party, and this must be clearly recognized.
Following election results in Taiwan, President-elect Lai Ching-te on Monday met a U.S. delegation of former U.S. officials, expressing hope that the United States would continue to support Taiwan. The U.S. delegation is also met outgoing President Tsai Ing-wen. Former U.S. National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley assured its commitment to the island is rock solid. Take a look.
Results in Taiwan gave further boost to ruling Democratic Progressive Party. Following the election results, the party made it clear that the new administration will continue to deepen cooperation with the United States for safety and prosperity in the region. In a meeting with a visiting delegation of former senior U.S. officials, President-elect Lai Ching-te expressed hope that the United States would continue to support Taiwan.
We are thankful for the United States' long-term support of Taiwan. I believe our relationship will advance in stable direction through our continuous hard work and become an important force to safeguard the peace and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific.
The U.S. delegation of former U.S. officials also met outgoing President Tsai Ing-wen. The delegation comprised of former Deputy Secretary of State James Steinberg, Chair of the American Institute in Taiwan Laura Rosenberger, and former U.S. National Security Advisor Stephen Hadley.
We look forward to continuity in the relationship between Taiwan and the United States under the new administration, and for common efforts to preserve cross-strait peace and stability.
Taiwan's outgoing president expressed hope that Taiwan-US relations will become an important driving force for regional and global prosperity and development.
I would like to thank the United States and all distinguished guests for their attention and support to Taiwan. And we also hope that Taiwan-US relations will continue to move forward and become an important driving force for regional and global prosperity and development.
The election in Taiwan also saw some diplomatic shift. Taiwan announced decisions to snap diplomatic ties with Central Pacific island Nauru, which earlier the same day had declared its intentions to seek formal ties with China. Taiwan also said it will halt all bilateral plans for cooperation with Nauru.
In order to maintain our sovereignty and dignity, we have decided from this very day to end diplomatic relations with Nauru, halt all bilateral plans for cooperation, withdraw the embassy and repatriate technical personnel, and will demand for Nauru to shut its embassy in Taiwan.
China views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory and has stated that it would not relinquish its goals of reunification. Following the election results, Chinese military released recent pictures of missile boats. President-elect Lai's party champions Taiwan's separate identity and rejects China's territorial claims. Lai, who will take office on the 20th of May, made it clear that he will follow in the footsteps of outgoing President Tsai to defend peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Fuzail Ahmed reporting for DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a break, but after the break, we tell you how jazz legends celebrate life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. with a concert. No snowfall in India's Queen of Hills, Shimla leaves tourists disappointed. And frigid cold fails to dampen the spirits of our brave men in uniform as marching contingents rehearse ahead of India's 75th Republic Day.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after the break. A quick relook at the top stories once again. Trump wins Iowa caucus, cementing his firm status as the frontrunner for the Republican presidential nomination. Defense Minister says only military pressure will secure release of hostages as Hamas airs video purporting to show 2 Israeli hostages killed in captivity. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaks with Russian President Vladimir Putin over phone, discusses global issues, assures India's support for Russia's presidency of BRICS. India Open 2024 badminton tournament starts today in New Delhi. Several top shuttlers, including India's HS Pranoy and Satvik Chirag, in action. And now we get to some special stories from Ayodhya ahead of the grand opening of the Ram Temple on 22nd of this month. Taking forward Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Swachh Tirth Cleanliness Drive initiative, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh offered prayers at Hanuman Setu Temple in Lucknow and also cleaned Hanuman Setu Temple premises. Earlier, Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal too led a cleanliness drive at a Ram Temple in Andheri East in Mumbai. BAPS volunteers at New Delhi's Akshardham Temple are very excited for the upcoming grand consecration ceremony of Ram Temple in Ayodhya. DD India's correspondent Deepika had an interaction with the volunteers on how they are gearing up for the 22nd January event. Let's listen in.
We are just few days away from the grand consecration ceremony that is all set to take place on the 22nd of January at Ayodhya. And right now we have with us a group of volunteers who've joined from different countries and they've devoted their entire life to Lord Ram. Let's talk to them and understand how excited are they for the grand consecration ceremony. You are also a volunteer here at Akshardham Temple. How excited are you for the grand consecration ceremony?
Actually, Ram Bhagwan was the 7th incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and our Guru Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Mahant Swami Maharaj with thousands of devotees has prayed, and right now continuously praying for this temple. And yes, of course, this temple will be the inspiration for youth as hard work and devotion of many devotees.
It's going to be an inspiration. And also when we talk about the inspiration that we are drawing from the grand Ram temple that is now a reality there in Ayodhya, what do you think of this? Ayodhya is getting an upliftment altogether.
Yeah, I think that Ayodhya will become a cultural capital of India and it has revived our cultural heritage. The Ram Mandir itself is a symbol of unity, peace and harmony, and it is really important for youth for a spiritual connection, and Ram Mandir itself is the epitome of spirituality and harmony.
You are a volunteer as well as a student. What is the key message that you take back to your college mates and you want to tell them through the example of Ram Temple?
I think that the spiritual connection is really important for youth in today's generation. This world is very fast-paced right now and everyone is leaning a lot on the science and other aspects of life, but the spiritual connection is really important for inner peace.
Indeed, it is very important for inner peace, and we have another very classic example of how spirituality draws you from every corner of the world. From which country are you traveling to India?
I'm from New Zealand.
And what made you come to India and devote your entire life for Lord Ram?
Actually, it was just the wish of my Guru. It was the Agna from our Guru that we should be believing the work for our society, and I think Ram Mandir is one of the symbols that we want to devote ourselves. So we have devoted ourselves for the sake of society, and Ram Mandir is a symbol of them. So since BAPS has built so many mandir across the world, and I think Ram Mandir is going to be one of the another good example of that. With the association of BAPS and Ram Mandir is going to be very beneficial to the society. Our Guru Yogi Ji Maharaj did a sankalp in 1968. He actually did a prayer at the birthplace of Rama Janmabhoomi, and he prayed for the success of this mandir at the time. He made a sankalp that there should be a mandir built at the Ram birthplace, and this is now happening. So we are very excited for that.
When we talk about sankalp and commitment, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also had a sankalp back in the history that he will come back to Ayodhya when the Ram temple would be made. And now this is becoming a reality. What are your plans on the 22nd of January for the 22nd and the grand consecration ceremony?
I wish I could have personally visited that place and took part into that the prayer. But we are going to get together at the mandir over here and we'll do our best. We'll get together, we'll do the prayer together, we'll do a special puja together. And our Guru Karan, Guru Mahant Swami Maharaj has given Agna to all of us to meet at one place and do prayer together. So we are going to take part into the live webcast of this Ram Janmabhoomi process.
So this is how different people are planning to make this grand consecration ceremony a huge success and celebrating the return of Lord Ram to the holy city of Ayodhya. With camera person Jagmohan, this is Deepika reporting from Akshardham Temple, New Delhi for DD India.
And as the consecration of Ram Temple at Ayodhya draws near, we now take a look at the 7-day rituals of the consecration ceremony beginning from Tuesday. Anita Raj reports on this. Ayodhya, the Uttar Pradesh town situated on the banks of Saryu, is set to witness the 7-day rituals of the consecration ceremony of Ram Temple that begins on Tuesday. The rituals will culminate on January 22nd with the grand ceremony that will be presided over by India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and will be attended by thousands of other guests. The final countdown for Ram Temple's consecration ceremony has begun. The religious rituals will begin from January 16th and will continue till January 21st. On January 22nd, Pran Pratishtha ceremony will take place. The schedule includes an atonement ceremony and Dashwit Bath on January 16th. On January 17th, the Pran Pratishtha ceremony will mark a pivotal step in the festivities following the worship of Lord Ganesha. January 18th will witness the commencement of special ritual, adding to the auspiciousness of the occasion. At the Ram Temple on January 19th, a Yagya fire pit will be prepared, guided by Vedic mantras and special methods, a ritual of profound significance for devotees. On January 20th, the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Ram Mandir will undergo purification with water from various rivers. The ceremonious bathing of Ram Lalla will take place on January 21st, accompanied by Yagya rituals, enhancing the spiritual atmosphere. The much-anticipated consecration will unfold on January 22nd, coinciding with the auspicious Mrigashira Nakshatra. Devotees eagerly await the chance to witness this significant event, seeking a glimpse of Ram Lalla during the consecration ceremony. 51-inch tall stone idol of Lord Ram, depicting him as a 5-year-old child, to be installed in the temple, weighing between 150 kilograms and 200 kilograms, and depicts the deity in a standing posture. Anita Raj's report, DD India. All right, on this, our correspondent Vishal Baristo is joining us this morning. Vishal, good morning. You've just shown a detailed report of how the preparations are starting from Tuesday onwards with regard to the consecration ceremony on 22nd of January. So all in all, the preparations are in full swing and the stage is all set for the big day, isn't it?
Well, a very good morning to you, Preeti. It's indeed very foggy and cold out here in Delhi, and we all pray that the climate and the weather gets better on the day of 22nd, because Doordarshan has made elaborate arrangements for the live coverage of the whole ceremony. In fact, 40 cameras would be covering the live ceremony of the consecration ceremony, and also they would be providing clean feed to other channels through ANI and PTI, which are the agencies. Also, the Press Information Bureau has set up a portal through which a key would be generated, and anybody requesting for the live streaming would be granted both nationally and internationally. In fact, the Information and Broadcasting Ministry yesterday in its press conference also said that media center has also been set up in Ayodhya, where media persons could sit and file their stories. They have also set up a portal where you can register yourself till 6 p.m. tomorrow, and so that you get the passes. Both the UP government and the Press Information Bureau are working in tandem to make it a smooth coverage. And also, for any eventuality, the Defense Ministry has also set up a beam emergency facility. So the whole ceremony is going to start by 12:30. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat, the Governor and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, would be participating in that ceremony that starts at 12:30 during the day on 22nd, and it would continue till 1 o'clock. Doordarshan would continue with its live coverage on the next day as well, and it would screen the live puja aarti ceremony on the next day, that is the 23rd. And also when the temple is opened for the general public, it would also be telecasting it live. So it is going to be a mega arrangement as far as Doordarshan is concerned. All things would be screened and transmitted in 4K, and Doordarshan has the exclusive right for this coverage. So it's going to be a very big day for Doordarshan. Preeti?
All right, so that is the power of technology, Vishal, helping us be at a place where we cannot be physically, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining in with those inputs. That was our correspondent Vishal Baristo spelling out the mega arrangements that have been planned by Doordarshan to make sure that people who are not in the vicinity of the Ram Temple, of the big event there in Ayodhya, can watch the ceremony at their homes at their own convenience. Let's turn focus to other updates. The Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across India with the aim to inform people about the government welfare measures by ensuring that their benefits reach the targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. The Yatra has reached Serchhip district in India's northeastern state of Mizoram. Various government departments collaborated to engage the public in development initiatives. The event included awareness programs, the distribution of calendars, the issuance of golden cards, free health camps, and also bookings for free gas connections. The campaign aimed to enhance community participation and address the needs of the people. The yatra also reached Sunari Panchayat of Udhampur in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Locals welcomed the van and listened to Prime Minister Modi's recorded video message. During the program, the van made the villagers aware of the various government-sponsored employment generation, development and social welfare schemes. Various beneficiaries shared their progressive experiences under Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani. The yatra also reached Sundarbani and Rajouri districts in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Locals welcomed the van and also listened to Prime Minister's video message. During the program, the van apprised the villagers of various government-sponsored schemes, and also the beneficiaries voiced their success stories in Meri Kahani, Meri Zubani. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from India now. A dense layer of fog is seen from Punjab to northeast India across Haryana, North Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal at 5:30 a.m. Airport's visibility data shows very less visibility in dense to very dense fog conditions. Palam Airport reportedly had 10 meters visibility early on Tuesday morning. Around 30 flights and trains have been delayed due to the fog conditions. Scores of tourists were disappointed after no snowfall was received in India's Shimla and Gulmarg. Now, these areas usually buzzing with tourists at this time of the year for skiing and other activities has seen lack of snowfall affecting tourism industry this year. Jazz legends Herbie Hancock, Diane Reeves, accompanied by the Herbie Hancock Institute of Jazz, honored and celebrated the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. in New Delhi on Monday. The jazz legends showcased their musical prowess to highlight the powerful connection between India and the US and how Martin Luther's journey was deeply influenced by Mahatma Gandhi's principles of non-violence. Republic Day parade rehearsal was underway at New Delhi's Kartavya Path ahead of India's 75th Republic Day. Marching contingents were seen in the early hours of Tuesday amid dense fog and cold winter conditions. A short break ahead, but after the break, Asian markets continue to show sluggish trend likely to affect Indian indices. India celebrates National Startup Day, aims to build strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation. In women's hockey, India take on Italy in the final group match to stay on course to Paris 2024.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour, and I'm Preeti. We'll now get you updates from the world of business. Asian stocks continue to show sluggish trends at the opening session on Tuesday. Asian markets were down this morning. Even Nikkei, which traded in green on Monday, broke its rally and fell 0.6%. Hang Seng and Kospi were down by up to 1%. U.S. markets, which ended in red last Friday, were closed on Monday due to Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Stock futures held small losses. India's benchmark indices Sensex and Nifty, which scaled new high on Monday, are expected to open on a muted note today. Crude, which had eased on Monday amidst Red Sea tensions and demand worries, maintained its levels at $78 per barrel on Tuesday morning. In a significant development, the Indian government has signed an agreement for lithium exploration in Argentina. The agreement was signed between Khanij Bidesh India Limited, or KABIL, and the state-owned enterprise Camian of Catamarca province of Argentina on Monday. Now, this is the first ever lithium exploration and mining project by a government-owned India company. KABIL will start exploration and development of 5 lithium brine blocks covering an area of about 16,000 hectares located in the Catamarca province of Argentina. KABIL is also preparing to set up a branch office at Catamarca, Argentina for the project, the cost of which is about 2 billion rupees. Argentina is the part of lithium triangle along with Chile and Bolivia, with more than half of world's total lithium deposits. Speaking about significant milestone, Prahlad Joshi said, and I quote, "This is a historic day for both India and Argentina as we are scripting a new chapter in the bilateral ties with the agreement signing between KABIL and Camian, a step which will not only play a crucial role in driving the energy transition for sustainable future, but also ensure a resilient and diversified supply chain for critical and strategic minerals essential for various industries in India." India is celebrating National Startup Day on January 16th. The Startup India initiative was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in 2016 to help build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation, boosting startups and encouraging investments in the country. DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh traces the milestones of this flagship program.
हिंदुस्तान का कोई जिला, हिंदुस्तान का कोई ब्लॉक ऐसा ना हो कि आने वाले दिनों में नए स्टार्टअप शुरू न हुए हो। क्या भारत ये सपना नहीं दे सकता कि हम दुनिया में स्टार्टअप की दुनिया में भारत नंबर 1 पर पहुंचेगा?
In 2016, from the ramparts of the Red Fort, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a clarion call to transform India into a global startup hub. As India celebrates National Startup Day, the nation's passionate engagement with innovation and entrepreneurship has come a long way. Startup India program has completed 8 years. Number of startups have skyrocketed from 400 startups in 2016 to more than 1,17,000 startups in 2023. India is home to over 100 unicorns with a total valuation of over $340 billion. Indian startups have created over 1 million direct jobs in diverse areas. Today, India has the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. India's G20 presidency created Startup 20, a platform for innovation leaders from partner countries.
We make eco-friendly batteries out of aloe vera, track and recycle used hazardous batteries into sustainable products. When a Prime Minister himself took the responsibility of making our country as the job provider and problem solver for the world, he not only asked us to start up, but also provided complete handheld support from the scratch to the end, be it in terms of incubation, acceleration or investments.
At Miramai, we have developed a new method of detecting breast cancer in a completely privacy-aware manner. Nobody sees or touches the person during the test. We use artificial intelligence over thermal scan to make this happen. How founders were perceived 10 years ago versus now is completely changed. It's created some kind of a respect for people who are starting, leaving their job and then jumping off to do something made in India.
At Dhruva Space, we build, launch and operate the satellites, making us a full-stack space engineering solution company. Atmanirbhar Bharat concept has given us a lot of mileage in the sense that it's opened up a lot of market for the startups to grow, and also is helping Indian companies establish themselves as superpowers across the world.
The idea behind Startup India was to capitalize on India's demographic dividend, transform Indian youth from being a job seeker to job creator.
Today, Indian startups have set a new goal: play a decisive role in India's journey towards becoming a developed nation by 2047. Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in New Delhi.
Let's get to updates from the world of sports now. In badminton, some of the best badminton players from around the world, including top Indian shuttlers like H.S. Pranoy and Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty, will be in action at the India Open 2024 badminton tournament, which starts at the KD Jadhav Indoor Hall in New Delhi from Tuesday. The India Open, a BWF Super 750 event, is the second tournament on the 2024 badminton calendar after the recently concluded the recently concluded event. Also, when we talk of the contenders, then Commonwealth Games gold medalist Lakshya Sen and former world #1 Kidambi Srikanth will also be seen in action. However, world #8 H.S. Pranoy will be the only seeded Indian in the men's singles main draw at the India Open, which concludes on January 21st. From badminton to hockey now, the FIH Hockey Olympic qualifiers. In fact, the Indian women's hockey team will take on Italy in their final group game today in the phase for qualification of the Paris Olympics. India have 1 win, 1 loss under their belt till now and are standing firm at the 3rd position in the 4-team pool. On Sunday, they registered 3-1 win against New Zealand in their second Pool B match. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.